we were able to generate a token amount of 10.1 trillion naira in the year that just passed. This is the first time that as a service or any agency of government in the Federal Republic of Nigeria will generate 10.1 trillion naira.
Big news. Yes, the FIRS has done it again. 10.1 trillion naira in 12 months. That was the Executive Chairman FIRS, Mr. Mohammed Name, announcing the collection performance of the FIRS in the year 2022. As you have heard in that clip, the FIRS has broken its 2021 record by collecting 10.1 trillion naira in 2022, the highest tax collection ever recorded in its history. Giving the FIRS 2022 performance update, Mr. Nami announced that in the year 2022, the FIRS collected a total of 10.1 trillion naira made up of 4.09 trillion naira in oil taxes and a whopping 5.96 trillion naira in non-oil taxes. Giving further breakdown, Mr. Nami announced that companies' income tax yielded 2.83 trillion naira. VAT yielded 2.51 trillion naira. Electronic money transfer levy yielded 125.67 billion naira, while earmarked taxes yielded 353.69 billion naira. This is the first time the FIRS will cross the 10 trillion naira mark in tax revenue collection. In the year 2020, the FIRS collected 4.9 trillion naira. In the year 2021, the FIRS collected 6.4 trillion naira, and now in 2022, 10.1 trillion naira. Later in a chat with newsmen, Mr. Nami shed more light. Before the press conference, the Executive Chairman of FIRS had gone to brief President Muhammadu Buhari.
What was his reaction?
Well, President will always be President, but I could see the body language that he appreciated the support that FIRS has been rendering to the FARC family. He was appreciative of what we have done and charged us to continue to do more so that we continuously and annually continue to provide that beautiful food on the FARC table so that the 3 tiers of government, local government, where you come from, Niger State that I come from, and the entire federal government team are able to pay salaries to their workers. They are able to continue to fund infrastructure projects, be it road, be it hospital, be it schools, and so on. They are also able to use money to equip our security agencies so that they are able to protect the lives and property of our citizens.
If you go to our tertiary institutions across the country, you will visibly see where taxpayers' money is working. At the Federal Accounts and Allocations Committee, FIRS provides over 60% of the monies that have been shared there, of which is what the state governors use, in doing their own businesses, providing infrastructure, paying salaries, in addition to their own internally generated revenue. So all these monies that we collect on behalf of these taxpayers are kind of a social contract between the government, the taxpayers, the tax users, and people even handling the taxes, the collection of the taxes.
Welcome once again. You will agree with us that so much is happening at the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The success that has been achieved and that is being achieved is not without effort. The FIRS has for some time now been taking the lead in the contribution of the much-needed revenue required by the 3 tiers of governments for the provision of better life for the citizenry. To fulfill its mandate, the FIRS is continually challenging itself, constantly on its toes, reforming and redesigning its processes and procedures. The last 3 years under Mr. Muhammad Nami have been particularly engaging. New departments have been created, technology has taken the lead in everything that the service does, and customers, yes, that is what they like to call taxpayers at the FIRS, are treated as kings. Hajia Aminado presides over one of the new departments at the FIRS, the Emerging and Special Tax Department. What does the Emerging and Special Tax Department at the FIRS do?
My department, that is the Emerging and Special Tax Department. We're in charge of stamp duties, which are paid on transactions, and also the the electronic money transfer levy. And also we're in charge of advising the service on areas of improvement. How can we improve revenue mobilization? How can we improve how we do our processes? Any area, any way we can make some suggestions to the service on how things can be made better, both for the taxpayer and also for the service, so that the revenue mobilization is improved upon. That's our mandate. I believe that some of the work we've done is already proven valuable to the service. And we do have a target, like I said, because we're in charge of electronic money transfer levy and stamp duty. So whatever target the service overall makes, we also contribute. And we are also the department in charge of the RITC, that's the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme, the NNPC part of it, the 21 roads. So we are the ones who review and advise on that particular project and keep an eye to make sure that those 21 roads are on track and on budget as approved by government.
Please share with us some of the reforms carried out by the service to simplify the administrative process.
Yes, of course, one of the most important issues right now we know in Nigeria is issue of revenue for the Federation. As you know, FIRS is for the Federation, it's not really just federal government. Whatever revenue is generated is for the 3 tiers of government. Now, the current management of FIRS has put together quite a number of reforms, not only through the finance bill from the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, with FIRS actively contributing, but in terms of making filing tax returns simple, easy, and convenient for the taxpayer. So as you are aware, last year, FIRS deployed its in-house solution, the Tax Pro Max, which has made life easier for the taxpayer, has also been able to provide FIRS the data it needs to be able to understand what is going on in the economy, and also improve the ease of paying taxes by the taxpayer, making tax administration more efficient. And also the FIRS has also provided a call center where you can call in if you have any issues and they will be resolved. Part of also the reforms are that now, before, when you have to come and ask for a TIN, tax identification number, now automatically when you register for a company, your TIN is now even written on your certificate of incorporation. That's another innovation and another way of making it very easy. Before, you actually have to go and apply to get a tax identification number. That's no longer the case, and it's on your certificate. So once you give your certificate to your bank, the TIN is there, your life is easy.
I'm a very busy man. My business involves a lot of traveling, and I interface with lots and lots of people and organizations. Tax compliance used to be a big drag on my business. It was time-consuming and very costly. But now, no more. Introducing the FIRS Tax Pro Max, the truly fully end-to-end tax administration solution for companies' income tax, value-added tax, petroleum profits tax, and all other tax types. For fast, efficient, and convenient end-to-end tax experience, log on to www.taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. Tax Pro Max has turned things around for me. It it is fast, user-friendly, and cost-effective. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC.
Mrs. Chaka Benobi is the Group Lead Digital and Innovation Support Group at the FIRS. That department oversees Tax Pro Max, the homegrown end-to-end tax administration solution. Mrs. Benobi, thank you for joining us on Tax Matters.
Thank you, Amaka. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Ma. Ma, we are looking at reforms at the FIRS in the last couple of years, and you are the Group Lead Digital and Innovation Support Group at the FIRS. Now, can you please tell us about the digital innovations that are ongoing at the FIRS?
Okay. The digital transformation reforms that are ongoing in FIRS has its foundation from the modernization program that we carried through many years ago. The digital transformation program seeks to overhaul the FIRS systems, processes, and procedures by introducing and implementing new and emerging technologies to coincide or to be able to deal with the digital economy. By digital economy, businesses are going digital in offering their goods and services. And like they say, the tax authority will always move with the money. So it's only natural for us to also begin to rejig our strategies so as to be able to fulfill our obligation for these businesses that have gone digital. The reform is also hinged on the 4 cardinal points of the current management. First, which is to rebuild the organization. By rebuilding the organization, we implemented a comprehensive framework for performance management. By saying comprehensive, it means it's moving from the individuals to the corporate. As you are aware, FIRS target is being handed to it by the federal government, which FIRS in turn cascades to the different tax offices. The amount of target for each tax office is dependent on the size of the tax office. So for the corporates, we do have KPI for the corporate, which is cascaded to the groups and then to the departments and then to the tax offices. Now, at the beginning of every year, the KPIs of the individuals are loaded into the system. It is the performance of those individuals that determines the performance of the corporates. And that's why we had the framework. Now, when we call it smart appraiser in the sense that if FIRS targets, for example, is 10.4 trillion as it is now, all of those tax offices, the accumulation of them will equal 10.4. So when you're monitoring the individual tax offices, when you're monitoring performance of the individuals, you're at the same time monitoring the performance of the corporate. And this can be done from any part of the world that you are, that have internet access. If you're internal, then you're within the network, but if you're external, then you can't see that. So that's how the organizational performance of the organization is being monitored and managed now. It's intertwined with each other. Then the second cardinal point is build a customer-centric organization. Now, as you may agree with me, the name you call a person is the way you behave to the person. The trend now is seeing our taxpayers as our customers. By seeing them as our customers, we're able to look at what's the same, a typical customer service approach to dealing with our customers is what we're beginning to adopt. And the first of it is to say, how do we sell convenience? How do we ensure that what we're expecting our taxpayers, who are now our customers, to do, they are doing it conveniently and with less pain? Now, when we do that, as we are doing that by deploying the different tax administration or the way the taxpayer interacts with FIRS, we're also, at the same time, ensuring compliance, because now it's convenient for them to do things, so they're more likely to comply. And this is by deploying the Tax Pro Max portal, which we hope, we've deployed quite a lot of the modules, but with time, we will be able to achieve our aim, which is end-to-end tax administration, that the taxpayer does not, for any reason, have to go to any tax office. They can do everything they want to do online without going into the tax office. Then the next of the cardinal goals is data-centric organization. I think it's one of the telcos that has a slogan to say data is life. So with that, you can then imagine why we say we want to be a data-centric organization. By being a data-centric organization, you're actually knowing your customer. Over time, you begin to build information on the customer that, if you look at what the banks do, like KYC, we want to know what's happening to your customer at every point in time. So that's why we've become a data-centric organization. And then to even put it to that is to create a department, solely dedicated to data mining, data strategy. How do we work with this, data? So if Chiamaka walks into the tax office or even call the contact center, now we have a contact center, just like the banks. You can actually call, give your TIN number, make your complaint or make your inquiries, and you get attended online. The resolution rates through just a phone call, and it speaks, there are many languages. It can speak all the major Nigerian language. It can also speak French, and we're trying to extend the capabilities. But for the ones, they have a target to resolve at least 60% of the queries they receive online, and then the other 40% is then cascaded to the subject matter experts who call the taxpayer and would say 24 hours. If it's complex that it has to go to a third level, we'll then give 48 hours for that to happen. So we're actually trying to treat our taxpayers as our customers. So that's, all the most stuff is all driving compliance, increasing collection, treating the taxpayers as customers, being data-driven. That's the nutshell of what the 4 cardinal goals of this present management is all about.
What is the long-term goal of the FIRS for automation?
We want to build a relationship with the taxpayer. We want to sell to the point where a taxpayer trusts the government and are ready to fulfill their civic obligation without grudging. There's also a lot of people who are not on the tax net today and are doing business, and most of these are people who are on the digital space. Our long-term goal is to be able to bring everyone who is making an income from Nigeria, irrespective of what part of the world that you live in, should pay tax to the government of Nigeria. That's our long-term goal.
It is widely acknowledged that the reforms ongoing at the FIRS in the last 4 years are bearing fruits. This is evident in the tax collection performance of the service in the last few years. So, to what use are these revenues put? We return to Haji Aminado. She talks about the health sector.
Yes, health again is another very important area where public health, especially because health has many aspects. But when we talk about public health, like COVID, incidence of high level of malaria, and so on, these are things that have to be centrally managed. So even though I may go to the dentist and take care of my teeth, if there is COVID, I cannot solve it. It's a public health matter, and only the government can do that. And it needs resources to do it. When COVID happened, the federal government and the state governments all have to rally around, get resources to be able to have isolation centers, give us free vaccinations. Anybody that got a vaccination got it free, and these have to be funded. So indeed, even though we pay for health ourselves as individuals, depending on the nature of the problem, there are some things that can only be centrally managed, and we have just experienced one in 2020. So again, that is why when we pay our taxes, as I've said before, it's a social contract. The money is used to make sure that certain things like public health, which only the government can handle, can be done effectively.
The Emerging and Special Tax Department also oversees the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme on behalf of the FIRS.
The Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme is one of the innovations of this government in order to encourage investment in critical infrastructure, which again, as I said, is a public good. We can't all just go around building our own roads. So there's one road that connects Lagos to Kano, for example. So that has to be provided by government. But government can obviously use various methods of financing it. And one of the innovations in order to bring the high quality of project management that is available in the private sector. And so the government came up with this scheme. And now, for example, we have the one that NNPC is handling. There are 21 roads spread across the 6 geopolitical zones that are being handled. About 620 billion is deployed for this purpose, and one of the roads is almost done. The Lagos-Badagry is part of the program. Then there are some roads in Niger State that are very critical to the provision of petrol and diesel, and they are also being worked on. There are some roads also, like I said, in the south-south as well, southeast, northwest, and so on and so forth. So this is a very important scheme. It's leveraging on the capacity of the private sector to be more efficient in project delivery. And it's a success because even the Bonny Road that the Nigeria LNG is doing has been on the table for a long time, but it's now being finally done under this scheme. And I'm sure that by the time some of these roads become operational, either by being fixed under this program or even the new roads like the Bonny Road, it is going to improve the competitiveness of Nigeria's economy and in the end reduce our imports.
Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Minister of Works and Housing, also speaks on the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme.
What the President did in 2019 when he signed Executive Order 7 was to respond to a policy proposal. First of all, people were saying, okay, go to private sector, go to this PPP. PPPs take a long time. Years of negotiations, years of due diligence. Now said, look, this proposal makes sense to me from the Ministry of Works and Ministry of Finance. And the President saw it and really embraced it and signed on. What was it about? Asking private sector operators and companies that are liable to paying income tax to the federal government to spend that tax in advance. So your tax for next year or 3 years' time, bring it forward and invest it in infrastructure. That's really what the tax credit scheme is about. And what this has done has been really, really tremendous. So from Obajana to Kaba, Obajana Kaba leads to the cement factory of the sponsor of that road. Apapa to Wuroshoki, that's the road that evacuates the port. We also have NLNG, again, a jointly owned federal and private company, and federal has the minority shares, private sector has majority shares. Income from there has also been deployed under the tax credit scheme to the Bodo-Bonny Bridge. And that is the first time you will see Bodo and Bonny Island linked by road in the history of human civilization. And Bonny is our biggest gas processing island in the country. But you can't reach it by road. It's almost finished. It's a 49-kilometer road comprising about 3 major bridges and 10 small bridges. So we're almost done. This is what taxes do.
Taxpayers' money in action all the way. Kudos to the FIRS, kudos to the Muhammadu Buhari administration. Surely you agree that it pays to pay your taxes. In another development, at the Federal Executive Council meeting held on Wednesday, 18 January, the Council approved additional 1.9 trillion naira for the construction of 44 federal roads across the country by the NNPC Limited under the Roads Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme. The roads cover a total length of 4,554 kilometers. More details will come your way in subsequent episodes. We conclude with our question of the week. What is the rate of companies' income tax in Nigeria? There are multiple companies' income tax rates in Nigeria. Companies with turnover below 25 million naira per annum are charged to companies' income tax at 0%. Middle-income companies with turnover between 25 million naira and 100 million naira are charged to companies' income tax at 20%, while companies with turnover above 100 million naira are charged to companies' income tax at 30%. Thank you for watching. Let's do this again next week, same station, same day of the week, and same time of the day. See you next week.